Okay, hello there, everybody. So, Business Basics basically dropped a bunch of videos here. I'll show you guys a bunch of videos right here about Russia, Ukraine, China, and all of that. Right? We checked out a few of them. I think we checked out this one, right? And now I want to check out some of these, but I'm probably only going to check out one other one, or you guys will see some of these down the line because I find these interesting, learning about the world, or not learning about the world, but checking out what's going on in the world. Because sometimes you gotta get out your bubble. And I'm a person who's like, bro, if I can't change it myself, I don't really care. Because like, what the fuck am I gonna do about this war, bro? I could tweet about it. That's not gonna do shit. They're not gonna stop fighting because I'm saying point and stop fighting. Like, bro, that's out of my hands. So I just leave it to the people who could do something about it and not worry about it. And now we're checking out what happened. Qatar's plan to checkmate Russia and of Russian-Ukraine war.
On the 24th of February last year, Russia took an aggressive stance and invaded Ukraine, which was a major escalation of their border conflict. This war, which just hit its one-year anniversary as of this recording, has caused devastating effects globally. Both Russia and Ukraine have suffered heavy losses, and the whole world has been dragged into this messy situation.
Mostly Russia, because they thought they would have.
The U.S. is giving out billions in loans to Ukraine, while EU nations are sending a lot of arms to the nation to help out with the war effort. It seems like it's a lot of expenditures and losses on all sides.
Yeah, that's why
one country, however, has risen to a triumphant grace in the middle of all this commotion. That one country is not losing, but gaining heavily from this global conflict. That nation is none other than Qatar.
Qatar's energy minister has announced a long-term deal to supply gas to Germany. China's Sinopec has signed a $60 billion agreement with Qatar Energy. 2 million tons of liquefied natural gas will be delivered annually.
Oil and gas, the cornerstones of Qatar's economy.
They're getting a lot.
That
they stacking that bread. They gonna have their place looking.
As we shed some light on one of the lesser-known gems of the world, please take a moment to shed some light on this video by liking it.
Yeah, you heard them. Like and subscribe
will go a long way towards helping with
so
the
you get more videos like this of me reacting to him. Also, subscribe to him too. Actually,
this
is
Qatar.
Informative.
It's a Middle Eastern country blessed with vast supplies of natural gas, making the nation ridiculously wealthy. Despite being home to just about 3 million citizens, Qatar has gas reserves that, at 858 trillion cubic feet, account for about 12% of the world's total natural gas reserves. To put this into some perspective, this gives Qatar the
Russia, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, USA. I was checking to see when England was gonna pop up, but they never did. So
third largest natural gas reserve, and it makes it one of the top 3 natural gas exporting nations, along with the United States and Australia. Quite an achievement for the small nation, and one they have leveraged quite nicely. In fact, many people did not know Qatar before the 2022 World Cup, where the small nation shined by hosting what was the largest and most extravagant World Cup in history.
Yeah, they could.
I'm not joking. Qatar spent over $200 billion on this 30-day affair, a figure that far eclipses the previous amounts spent. In fact, Qatar spent over 12 times as much as the previous spending record holder.
Damn.
I say all this to show you just how wealthy Qatar has gotten.
Yeah, they stacking.
And now, I'll show you just how the Ukraine conflict is making them even richer. It's safe to say that if there ever was a winner to be named out of this horrible conflict, it is undoubtedly Qatar. To understand Qatar's advantage, we have to look at what the oil and gas supply chain used to be like. Russia was a big exporter of gas to Europe. Having the largest natural gas reserves in the world, Russia had an ample market and ample supply. In 2021, before the war started, Russia was supplying EU countries with 40% of their natural gas, with Germany being the largest importer. Other nations like Italy and the Netherlands imported an exorbitant amount of gas too. This chart shows just how much of a chokehold Russia had on Europe, and how much they were making off of Europe's pockets. Their aggressive international policy, however, did have an effect on this. Once Russia invaded Ukraine, its diplomatic relations with Europe were pretty heavily affected. By August of 2022, Europe was importing just about 17% of their gas from Russia. That figure has continuously dwindled over time. This presented quite a problem. Europe still needs a lot of gas, and they don't want to fund Russia's war by buying Russian gas. What's the answer? Qatar. You see, Qatar is presenting itself as the solution to all of Europe's natural gas problems. Qatar has placed itself in a position where it solves a problem and also benefits pretty heavily in the process. And it's not just with Europe alone, oh no, it is benefiting from China as well. In a way, Qatar is robbing Russia of all of its customers and outlets, all while making billions in the process. You see, what Saudi Arabia is in the world of oil, Qatar is in the world of gas. What makes Qatar's situation even more royal is that when it comes to gas, it has it in spades. Qatar has proven reserves equivalent to 609.2 times its annual consumption.
That's 609.
This means it has about
gas
609 years of gas left at current consumption levels.
That's wild.
No small blessing. It means that Qatar will be able to sell gas for longer and in more quantities in comparison to its rivals, those being the US and Australia. While Australia is starting to see its reserves dwindle, Qatar has so much more to explore and take advantage of. And given its neat diplomatic ties, it outshines countries like Russia too, who, though they possess more gas, have muddled reputations. Honestly, all fingers just point towards the small nation right now. Ben Cahill, an energy expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, rightfully said, "This is Qatar's moment. Everyone needs them now."
That's true.
And he couldn't have been more correct. Qatar itself seems to sense this, and they have doubled down on natural gas production. Despite being the largest liquefied natural gas exporter at the moment, Qatar is growing even bigger.
At Universal Technical Institute, you don't have to explain your passion for cars. We get it. That's why we're making more.
Last year, the country announced the North Field East project. This is a project aimed at increasing liquefied natural gas production globally, and the project itself is the world's largest liquefied natural gas project ever in terms of capacity. That says a lot. Qatar has been serious about expanding its liquefied natural gas production from the North Field, which is the world's single largest non-associated offshore natural gas field. The nation began the construction of 4 giant liquefied natural gas production lines with a capacity of 8 million tons each per year. This is in addition to gas-producing facilities, natural gas liquids recovery, and helium extraction and refining facilities in Ras Laffan Industrial City. These investments will increase its export capacity by more than 1/3 by 2026. In fact, when the project is complete, it will be churning out about 1.4 million barrels of oil equivalent per day. Put together, the project will raise the country's liquefied natural gas production capacity from 77 million tons annually to 110 million tons. That's all dollar bills, as far as I can see. Qatari officials have also announced plans to build 2 more terminals later in the decade.
2 more.
When you factor it all in, by the time everything is said and done, the country's capacity to produce liquid natural gas will grow more than 60% to 126 million tons a year later in the decade.
So
this is the biggest doubling down action I have ever seen. In addition to liquefied natural gas, the project will produce condensate, LPG, ethane, sulfur, and helium. All this just means extra profits for Qatar. This is money upon money upon more money
Where does this money
for
go?
Qatar. The Arab nation is betting that even as much of the world is trying to cut greenhouse gas emissions, demand for liquefied natural gas will keep growing. That's because many elected leaders and energy experts believe the fuel is essential as a replacement for coal and to back up solar and wind energy, which can be limited by inclement weather. That fear, or rather need for consistency on their nation's energy needs, is Qatar's winning bet. Well, just how viable is this gamble, you may ask?
100%.
Well, let me show
Well,
you.
nothing could be 100%. But like a good 98%.
Germany's reliance on Russian gas has exposed Europe's biggest economy.
Is a milestone toward what he calls Putin-free energy.
Qatar's state energy company seals a 27-year deal to supply China's Sinopec with liquefied natural gas.
They got China?
Sent 4 million tons of LNG.
Isn't China and Russia like damn near twins? But like, also, like, you know what's crazy though? Like, what if they try to invade Qatar? Like, somebody's like, oh yeah, we going to get that. That'd be like, damn. But also, when the war ends or whatnot, it like, are they gonna make them sign a treaty? Like, you will not invade Ukraine ever again. You will pay this much amount of money to Ukraine citizens and everybody else who contributed to this big loss because you started this war.
Annually to China's
expansion projects expected will start in 2026.
Just last year, Qatar signed a mega deal with German firms. The 15-year deal is for Qatar to supply Germany with over 2 million tons of liquid gas. This deal is set to start in 2026, the same year that Qatar's new expansion project ends. As Germany has begun weaning itself off of Russian gas, Qatar is coming to save the day. Now, granted, Qatar has faced some scrutiny from Europe regarding its workforce and LGBTQ violations.
But that's their relation, so who
that
cares?
rose particularly during the World Cup, as you may remember.
Look, bro, you can't go to somebody else's house and then expect them to change the rules for you. That's all I gotta say about it. Like, bro, if you're at your own house, make your own rules. You're not at your own house at the current moment. You're at somebody else's house, so follow their rules, bro. Like, if you walk in somebody's house, they're like, okay, bro, take off your shoes. But you're a type of nigga who always walks around with your shoes inside the house. That's tough. You're in somebody else's house, take off your shoes, bro. Fuck them dirty socks with a hole in them. That's tough. Take off your socks too if you have to.
Remember, however, whatever scrutiny they may face, it pales in comparison to the crimes that Russia is currently committing.
That's true.
So in European eyes, Qatar is by far the safer option. On the other hand, Qatar is guaranteed a market for its gas for the foreseeable future. Again, it's not just selling to Europe either. The Middle Eastern nation has also penned quite the deal with China. Last year, Qatar and China also agreed to a $60 billion, 27-year deal for liquefied natural gas. Yeah, you heard that right. That's billion with a B.
Damn,
and yes,
bro.
I did say 27-year deal. This monumental deal, which guarantees the export of 4 million tons of liquefied natural gas annually to China, is notable for several reasons. Firstly, as the longest liquefied natural gas supply contract signed to date, it signifies that long-term oil-indexed liquefied natural gas supply contracts are still an essential method for buyers to ensure the security of their supply, and for suppliers to maintain the security of demand. This is in tandem with Qatar doubling down on its infrastructure and building more refineries. Guaranteeing long-term contracts like this gives them that boldness because they have a guaranteed market for their gas. Also, securing these types of contracts is a big deal because it shows that, despite predictions that the world going green will phase out Qatar's relevance quickly, this does not seem to be the case at all. In fact, Qatar's relevance and geopolitical importance has only shot up even higher, as they are a stable gas supply for Europe. And this is during a time when the continent is heavily struggling to reduce its dependence on Russia, and as other countries increase their natural gas consumption in a bid to decarbonize their macroeconomics. Qatar is essentially the best friend who worms their way into your heart after your breakup with your long-term partner.
Damn.
Always there.
That's the nigga you told me not to worry about. Now look at you, talking, drinking wine at his house. Talking about, oh, we just best friends. I don't gotta worry about him. Look at that. Look at that. Now he there, bro.
Always reliable until boom. One day you wake up naked together in a bed after a long night of partying. Yeah, you get the idea. Qatar's energy minister and Qatar's energy CEO said in a statement that the deal opens a new and exciting chapter with China. Best believe the minister is not just talking about the money in this deal. Qatar is gaining far more than financial benefits.
Friendship,
You see,
backup
at
power.
the present moment, Qatar already provides China with one.
That means, actually, Actually, bro, that means they can't get invaded because, like, since China is backing them, right? Basically backing them, right? So if anybody try to invade Qatar, China will come to their defense, right? Because they're in a deal.
Quarter of its gas. That number is rising quickly with the addition of new deals being signed between these nations.
And then it shows us a battleship game happening.
What this does is that it makes Qatar very important to China, as anything pertaining to this gas provision becomes essentially China's business. Despite China reducing dependency on Russian gas and the uncertainties that it brings, China is also casting its own lot with Qatar. For Qatar, this means that an additional layer of security has been formed as the nation's two interests are aligned.
Yeah.
This 27-year deal gives Qatar more protection from its enemies, not least among them a potentially hostile Iran, with which Qatar shares one of the largest gas fields in the world. Qatar has long relied on a U.S. military base near Doha as a bulwark. But as some lawmakers in the United States grow wary of foreign entanglements, experts say Qatar is looking for an additional buffer against Iran. And that buffer is now China.
Damn, having China and US on your side, bro. That's like being in the NBA and like being like, I would be me and then Kevin Durant, James, I was gonna say James Harden, but nah. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Steph Curry are on my team, and then I would be like point guard and then Curry is shooting guard because I'm just passing the ball to them, standing off to the side. And then LeBron is shooting forward and somebody is sending power forward. No, LeBron could be power forward since he's a little beefier. And then Kevin Durant is the other one. And then we need a center. Who'll be the center? We could have Giannis as center. Like that's basically the setup, bro. I mean, I added too many people, but shut up.
It's always a win when you secure an important energy customer and a geopolitical partner in the same breath. I mean, talk about a win-win. Boosting international relations and fattening your pockets simultaneously? According to Citigroup projections, the country's economy will grow at 4.4%, the fastest pace since 2015. Meanwhile, Qatar's GDP per capita, with a population of less than 3 million, will reach $77,000, thus reaching levels similar to that of Switzerland. That puts the nation in a very nice niche. So,
nice.
Where does this leave the matter? Well, Qatar is emerging as quite the regional figure and an important geopolitical player in the modern world. On top of befriending both the West and the East, Qatar is actively helping other nations like Egypt. And this serves to heighten Qatar's regional role. Also, with the signing and cementing of all these deals, and many more to come, Qatar has quite comfortably turned Russia's crisis into a feast for themselves. Russia might never be able to recover its markets from Qatar. In fact, in the case of Europe, it's a guaranteed no. That leaves the small nation of Qatar in one of the most enviable positions for any country to be in 2023. And only time will reveal what riches are to come for Qatar.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, if Russia ends the war, they're gonna have to pay a bunch of. I want to see taxes. I don't know. Is it there like ramifications? I don't know if it's ramifications. I think I'm just saying a random ass word, or I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's. No, it's not. Let me just call it taxes for now. They're gonna have to pay a bunch of taxes to a bunch of places for starting a war. Like that they didn't. The Western world, we're not buying Russian fuel anymore. Qatar, hi. I heard you like natural gas, but it's more than that. If China goes for Qatar gas instead of Russian oil, Russia is surely screwed. Great journalism once again. That's true. Just send Putin a thank you basket, and I hope they looked at the small print dealing with China. Remember the British Empire? Yeah, that's it. Wow. I don't get that. Who wouldn't like cheap oil and gas? So no, China will continue to buy from Russia unless some major catalyst would happen that would allow China to stop buying. It's forced to buy LGN from various sources, as Russia does not have / own any infrastructure to produce LGN. Shanxi's package number 34 against RF, and the RF is Russia's. Okay, bro, that's saying a lot that I don't understand. Like RF, I don't know what RF is. I'm guessing LGN is a substance or material, something like gas or oil, something like that, I'm guessing. But yeah, like, subscribe, see you guys later. Hope you have a good day or night, and bye. And let me know what you guys are going to think is going to happen in the future. Bye.